UK, not a lot of people know that, but is in a water scarcity situation. So London is drier than, say, Sydney or Rome. So you can imagine what it means in terms of access to this resource and what the impact of climate change can be for customers such as, say, food and bev, if they need the water to produce their outputs. At the same time, climate change is about having more of the excessive or extreme weather, and there are a lot more frequent floodings in the UK, and we've experienced one like 2 years ago, which was a catastrophe in terms of risk of big infrastructure, and a lot of our customers have asked us about how can I protect now my big infrastructure from those floodings. What we can say is climate change for our customers is an increase in the risk overall. And overall, I would say what matters the most all across the various types of customer we have is the risk on their supply chain. So the risk of not accessing some specific resource which they desperately need to produce the outcome. So let's talk about resource efficiency, and it's precisely what Veolia's baseline is about, resourcing the world. So we help our customer to have exactly the same output, but use less water, less energy, less rare resource to produce exactly the same thing. That's exactly what circular economy is about, and you can understand that actually it saves CO2 at the same time. It's local loops of energy. Instead of going for fossil resource, you go for something which used to be wasted and you use as a fuel. So all that come together. It's exactly why we are resourcing the world. The good news is basically we already have part of the solution, and we're here to bring solutions to our customer to try and help them tackle resource scarcity and securing their supply chain. If I give you a few examples in terms of power, for instance, for those customers who are desperately in need of having 100% security, we can have local source of energy or heat that we can provide, for instance, biomass production or anaerobic digestion or district heating from energy from waste facilities, for instance. If you want to secure your supply chain in terms of metals, circular economy, where you put some metals back in the loop of production, helps you securing the supply chain because it's a shorter supply chain, more local, and therefore more resilient and more reliable. And I can multiply the examples like that. So good news is Veolia has part of the solution. I give you an extra examples of how Veolia not only has developed a large-scale solution, but is reinventing new solution every day through R&D, but through small solutions which are becoming bigger and bigger. An example of that is urban mining. We were already collecting and sweeping the streets in London and other cities in the UK, and this dust was basically landfill. We've developed a process whereby instead of landfilling it, we avoid going to landfill for 90% of it, and we found some palladium and platinum into those dust, which initially was going to landfill. So palladium and platinum is a rare metal, which not only is very expensive, but it's a scarce resource in the world, used both in the micro industry as well as in the jewelry. And basically what used to be wasted, we've mined it and extracted value, and we could go back into another loop of production. That's a perfect example of circular economy in action. So the good news is all the solutions not only make good business sense for our customer, but they can make good business sense for the country as a whole and give back to the communities and to the country. We have estimated that £2.9 billion can be created per year, so extra of the GDP on top of the existing GDP by going more circular. It's roughly 200,000 jobs created in the UK, so 10% of the unemployment, which will be tackled by those solutions. So it's not only good for the planet, it's good for our customer to secure their supply chain, but it's good for the countries we operate in. Already today, 20% of our business is circular, and we want to double it to 40% by 2020. If you go beyond that, because Veolia, of course, is at the forefront of that, but we have other players in the same industry as ours. If you put all those forces together, we've estimated that basically we could solve 10% of the CO2 problems in the UK.